Well, hello everybody. So in this video, guys, this is basically an overview of our midterm project. It is not a tutorial, it's actually just going to be an overview. I'm going to give you your parameters, what your objectives are, and some tips and tricks on your workflow so you don't get stuck and everything works smoothly and you have a lot of fun doing this. And that is my goal for you guys for this project. So let's get going. So you're going to see that on our project page in Canvas, I have a lot of information on here. I spent actually a lot of time writing this out step by step, holding your hand throughout the entire process. So there's nothing that should be foggy. So if you missed my presentation when I launched this project for you guys, this is what this video is for. So guys, let's talk about what this project is. In a nutshell, you are taking your fantasy brand that you had already made up in your mind and created a logo for, and you guys are going to create an advertising campaign. This advertising campaign is comprised of one ad. This ad is going to be formatted for two different applications. One is going to be a printed ad, like a big poster. The other one is going to be optimized for social media. So it's one ad, but two different results. So let's take a look. So the first thing that you're going to be doing is you're going to be taking your fantasy brand and your brand name that you had already made up, and you guys are going to think of what you want to advertise. Okay, and it could be a number of things. It could be a sale. It can be a grand opening. It could be advertising something unique for your business that the competition just doesn't do as well as you do according to your fantasy brand. So you get to choose something to promote. Now, once you've done that, you're going to think about how you're going to easily do this. Now, if you scroll down, you're going to see a couple of ads here. This is one ad of my fantasy brand that I had talked about in class. Adventure Kayak is the name of the company. And I had morphed this into an outdoor outfitter. Okay, a regional outdoor outfitter that has both online store and brick and mortar stores as well. So I've grown a little bit. The one on the left is a poster ad. Now this is something that you're going to be making at an 8.5 by 11 size, but it could be blown up to something really huge. What if I had an adventure kayak inside of a mall? Well, this could be something that could be placed on the window. This one on the right is your social media ad. Take a good look at, oops, guess it's not going to work well for me, at both of these ads here. They're not exactly the same. They look very similar because you want to have that cohesiveness for an ad campaign, but it's not the same. The one on the left has more items because it's a larger canvas. The one on the right, I had to take some things out. I even simplified the graphic. Let's talk about graphics, by the way. There's two parts to this task. First, you're going to be making a Photoshop collage or montage out of 3 or more images, and this will be done in Photoshop. Taking a look at my sample on the left, I have 3 images that I downloaded from the net, and I use layer masks and sizing and blending and layer modes to get it to where I had it looking the way I wanted to. This was a hard thing for me. You know, there's a lot of items for this ad here, especially the one on the left, a lot of things, but I had to simplify it. If I made my images all in true color, it would have been way too complicated. So you got to make sure that you're using your graphic design principles. Okay, and I list them right up here. Okay, the biggest thing is visual hierarchy. You want your viewer's eye to go to one thing first, then go to something else, and then go to something else, and then go to something else, so they understand the ad. Let's look at this. The very first thing I see is Spring Splash. Oh, wow. I want to know about a spring splash. Well, what is it? Oh, 20% off. Big sunburst right there. 20% off what? Oh, all new season equipment. It says right there. It's popped out. Where? Adventure Kayak, because it says it on the bottom and I have my logo there. You guys will place your logo on here or some variation of it, meaning that you can tweak your logo, you can do something with it to format your ad. Ta-da! Visual hierarchy. It's not too complex and there's a lot of stuff on here. So once you have your sale or whatever that you're going to do in your head, you're going to do a sketch. We're going to do that together. We may have already done that if you're watching this later. And then you go to the produce section. Once you've set up your folders and everything, you're going to begin the Photoshop portion of this. Let's take a look at my Photoshop work. Now, what you're looking at here is a Photoshop document with my montage. Notice that I have 3 images that I imported. I won't show you the source files because that'll take too long and I want to keep this concise, but these are full color images, and for each one I'm going to take this kayaker guy. I have a mask, so I'm going to go ahead and disable the layer mask so you can see the entire photo. Now I've colorized this photo, okay? I transformed it from full color to this blue monotone. Now if you want to do something like that, hit me up. If you're not sure how, I'm happy to make it happen. All right, so I'll go ahead and re-enable that mask because I did cut it out. I used layer mask to do that, which you know how to do. And I went ahead and found these 2 gals here that are laughing. For me, it's all about recreation because that's what this ad that I made is all about. I'm selling fun. And so I wanted laughing, smiling people that are doing something that's cool. So I didn't want it to be too complex. But I wanted it to be diverse, not just male adults. So I have these women here having a blast on, doing some river rafting, and then I wanted some kids in there too. So I made this montage. This montage, what you'll be doing is just exporting a PNG file. Now, if you want transparency, you can do that with the PNG. Again, hit me up if you need to, and you'll be just importing it into Adobe Illustrator. So here's my Illustrator file. When you guys do this, you guys will be provided with a template. I'll go ahead and open that template in a moment, but it will have 2 artboards, this one and this one. Notice that I have a grid showing here. You will see a grid as well. That grid is for alignment. So looking at this artwork here, once I placed my photo in here, I screened it back. As you can tell, I lowered the opacity. I did that because if it was at 100% opacity, it would be too busy, hard to read the text. Again, the message is the first priority. You want to get that message loud and clear and get people to look at it and be excited. So I used contrasting colors, the cool with the warm. Again, here's my logo, here's my blurb, and a QR code. I wanted to note a couple of things that will help you work. First of all, notice that I have a ruler here at the top and on the side. Now those are really cool because if you grab your rulers and if you mouse over a ruler and hold down your mouse button and then you drag down, you will get what's called a guide. Now we didn't talk about guides too much. As you can see here, as I mouse over it, you can see that light blue line. That's a guide. That will help you align things. The grid will do the same. I actually used a guide to align my social media icons and my QR code. I'm going to pull one up from the left-hand side. Now I'm going to line it up right here to where this grid line is, and you're going to notice that the word splash, the edge of my starburst, and the edge of my blurb and my QR code are all aligned. That was not an accident. Okay, I did that on purpose. You got to prove to me that you're using alignment. You're using proximity to group together like items. Okay, I got my title, that's proximity. I have my details, 20% off all new season equipment. That's grouped together. I have my logo and my details here, grouped together. And then finally, my socials and the website, all grouped together. There's plenty of negative space. I also have a background color. So if I turn everything else off, there's my background. This is a gradation. If you want to do a gradient and you're not sure how, again, hit me up. I will definitely help you with that. I'm just trying to get through this quickly because I'm trying to help you do this as best as possible. So your message and your graphic design principles are the biggest parts of this. The other thing is, did you use Photoshop to create a montage? You are submitting your Photoshop document along with this project. So in case you were fuzzy about that, you are submitting both your Photoshop file, your Adobe Illustrator file, and your exports. You're exporting both your poster and your social media. Take a good look at these two. Again, I had to omit and change a bunch of things. This is reformatted for a smaller canvas. I didn't include everything. No socials. I even went back to my Photoshop document and I went ahead and hid two of these layers and just exported this guy for my Instagram ad here because it would have been too much. Again, you need to simplify things when you have a smaller space. But it still does the same thing, all that stuff. Now, I'm not talking about every single parameter in here, but I'm just going to quickly go over what you got to have here. You've got to have a photo montage, 3 or more images, some sort of cohesive color scheme, a title. Remember, you need to title it whatever you're selling or whatever you're introducing. You have to have one graphic element, like I have a starburst here, put a QR code in there, and so on. I already talked about everything else.